may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, guys, just in case you did not see the announcement yesterday, just in case you did not see the announcement on Patreon, please, if you are a current member of Patreon, go to the description in the video, go to the comment section in the chat, and make sure right now you edit your pledge on Patreon, because I lowered all the prices on Patreon just because now that we're graduating, I have more time to devote over there, so we can continue to grow the flock. And I do not want you continuing to pay for the old price, because you're still going to be getting everything you got before, and you're going to be getting more. We're actually doing all our draft kits through Patreon now for those people in the Mother Flocker tiers. So please go over there, edit your pledge down to the new lower cost. You're still going to be getting everything a little bit more, just at a lower cost. And I want to make sure that nobody at the end of the month is still getting charged the elevated rate. So please, 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 please go change that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in this video is we are going to be taking a suggestion that we had from Point God in our Discord chat from Patreon, and we are going to be talking about wide receiver rookie battles. Now, if y'all don't know Point God, I just want to give him a massive shout out right now. He actually makes all the thumbnails for the channel, helps us out tremendously, has been a supporter of the channel for a very long time now. But yeah, anyway, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video. And what we are going to be diving into here is specifically this tier 2 of wide receivers. We're not going to be talking about Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase. Obviously, we have spent pretty much the entire offseason talking about those guys. Let's dive down a little bit lower. Let's talk about the wide receivers that are being ranked in that 3, 4, 5, 6 range. Obviously, whoever you're looking at is going to have these wide receiver rankings in a little bit of a different order. But we are going to be talking specifically about Rashod Bateman, Jalen Waddle, and Ronalddale Moore. Now, obviously, if y'all are over on Patreon, you've already seen how I rank these guys, but I want to talk about exactly why I have those rankings, and I'll give everybody that's not on Patreon the end of the rankings at the end of the video. And the first wide receiver I want to bring up is going to be the guy we just talked about. Let's talk about Rashod Bateman here. And I'm not going to go in as in depth as I did with the video a couple days ago, just because y'all already heard all that info. But if we quickly highlight Rashod Bateman, okay, one positive thing on this profile, 21 years old. Obviously, you love to see that. I don't need to explain why you want these wide receivers coming out at 20 to 21 years old anymore like I used to, because it seems like everybody's on board. Everybody finally understands that rookie wide receiver age as a prospect definitely matters. You want to see these guys coming out as true juniors. Now, Rashod Bateman, 6 foot, 190 pounds. So obviously, you'd like him to be a little bit heavier, but still nothing to worry about there. Coming out of Minnesota, and if you look at his athletic profile, I mean, he ran a 4.48 40, which is in the 72nd percentile. Now, across all the other metrics, he was pretty much just average across the board. But I want to make sure that everybody understands, everybody's on the board with the fact that, guys, at the running back position, I've said this so many times before, but yeah, running backs, what you want to see is you want to see them be able to catch passes, get the NFL draft capital to see opportunity, have the size to be able to handle a full-time workload, and you really need to see that athletic profile for them to have that elite level upside. Now, at the wide receiver position, it's a completely different situation where what you want to see is you want to see the capability for them to generate separation, to win at the catch point, and to be high volume wide receivers. Now, that doesn't mean they need to be super athletic. That doesn't mean they need to be a John Ross. That doesn't mean they need to be a Henry Ruggs. We see this time and time again. Actually, the wide receivers that are elite with their speed, and that's all they have, yeah, that means they can bring a ton of value to their NFL teams by stretching the field and allowing other wide receivers to get the targets underneath. But that doesn't mean they're going to help your fantasy teams, just because if they are consistently running routes 18, 19, 20 yards down the field, they're just simply not going to be seeing the targets that like a Tyler Boyd would, on the other hand. So you like to see that he's fast enough with Rashod Bateman. Now, the more important thing for us to do is to go look at his production profile, to go look at what he was able to do his true freshman, true sophomore, and true junior year, and put some context behind it. And in 2018, his true freshman season, at 18 years old, he was great. And this is why a lot of people are excited about him. He averaged 3.9 receptions a game, 54 yards a game, and 6 total touchdowns. Now, yes, Tyler Johnson outproduced him. Tyler Johnson was also 2 years older. That is something that you have to take note of. Now, in 2019, this is the season that everybody's excited about. This is the season where he takes that leap up, averaging 4.5 receptions, 93 yards a game, and 11 total touchdowns. Now, I want to reiterate, Tyler Johnson also outproduced him this season. Now, we can sit here and we can argue about how much that actually matters and how much it really indicates the talent level of Rashod Bateman that Tyler Johnson was able to barely outproduce him whenever he was 2 years older. Now, I'll say that, yes, it's not the end of the world for Rashod Bateman. It's not even a negative on his profile, but I'm just tired of hearing the take that Tyler Johnson being there and Rashod Bateman was able to get this production despite of that helps Rashod Bateman's profile with anything. I think it's just kind of neutral. Now, if we go to 2020, we see Rashod Bateman not really play that much. I mean, obviously, it's a shortened season with COVID, and he decides to opt out, but averages 7 receptions a game, 94 receiving yards a game, and 2 total touchdowns to go along with this. So Rashod Bateman, you have the age-adjusted production that you want to see. You have the minimum athletic requirements for him to be an NFL wide receiver. And also, he projects to be a late first round, early second round NFL drafted wide receiver, which would definitely check the draft capital box for him to see opportunity on the football field. So I know it may sound like I just absolutely hate Rashod Bateman, and I don't hate Rashod Bateman. What I hate is I hate people trying to talk about him as if he's Devontae Smith, as if he's in the same tier as Jamar Chase, because once you start saying stuff like that, that just tells me, hey, everything you're saying here is just for attention. You just want people to go, oh my God, hey, share this with your friends. Show them what I'm saying. No, that is just for attention. But if you're coming out here and having a reasonable take that, hey, Rashod Bateman's a damn good rookie wide receiver prospect, then yeah, that's fine. But outside of that, I don't want anybody to go completely overboard in ranking him just automatically as a top 2 wide receiver in this class. All right, so now let's go over to Jalen Waddle, a wide receiver that is very fun to look at. So Jalen Waddle, 22 years old. I don't really know how this happened because you look and he only has 3 years of college experience to look at. So please, guys, if I'm wrong about that, just go down there and tell me I'm looking at the wrong source, because everything that I see, it says he's 22 years old, but I previously had thought he was 21. But here with Jalen Waddle, also 5'9", 180 pounds, coming out of Alabama, obviously. And he doesn't test at the pro day, but based on everything, just based on watching him, based on the fact that he used to race Henry Ruggs, we know this guy has elite level speed. I mean, this guy is in the tier of the John Ross, the Henry Ruggs, maybe a little bit slower, but you can put him in that same mark, that he is going to be that elite level sprinter. So like I said previously, this doesn't mean it's very bad for his dynasty value. It doesn't mean it's great, on the other hand. What it means he's going to get significant NFL draft capital because he is going to help an NFL offense right away. We know those NFL teams will always reach on some speed, even if they don't plan on getting the wide receivers some volume. I mean, just look at a McCole Hardman in Kansas City. That's a perfect example. I'm not saying Jalen Waddle's McCole Hardman, but that's what you see in the NFL draft. So I want to make sure everybody knows Jalen Waddle. He's going to be a top 15 NFL draft pick. That is guaranteed. And what is most impressive about Jalen Waddle, in my opinion, is his freshman year in 2018. Okay, so in 2018, Jalen Waddle went out there and he averaged 3 receptions a game, 56 yards a game, and 7 total touchdowns. So Jalen Waddle, if we compare him over to Rashod Bateman real quick, averaged slightly more receiving yards a game their freshman years. And Rashod Bateman, who was he competing with? He was competing with Tyler Johnson. Now we go over and see who is Jalen Waddle competing with his freshman season when he averaged more receiving yards than Rashod Bateman. Just some bum wide receivers, guys like Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs. So please understand how impressive this freshman year is by Jalen Waddle. It's absolutely absurd, to be honest. Now in 2019, he does take a small step back, but I mean, just there are so many wide receivers on this team. You have the Devontae Smith, you have the Jerry Jeudy, you have the Henry Ruggs in 2019. By this time, Irv Smith is also out there. I mean, there he averages 2.5 receptions, 43 yards, and 6 total touchdowns. Now, another important thing to point out is the following year, in 2020, before he suffers his injury, he's actually averaging close to 5 receptions a game, 99 yards a game, and 4 total touchdowns. And multiple people have pointed out to me when we were talking about our Devontae Smith love that before Jalen Waddle got injured, Jalen Waddle was actually slightly outproducing Devontae Smith. Now, that doesn't mean you should automatically have Jalen Waddle over Devontae Smith in your rookie rankings, because obviously you have to look at the bigger picture here. But it is significant to show that, hey, he did have that significant competition. And we understand here with Jalen Waddle that he has that elite level speed to be a difference-making wide receiver in the NFL. We know he's going to be a top 15 draft pick. So we can say that because he has the NFL draft capital, because You saw that production his freshman year against a Calvin Ridley, a Jerry Jeudy, a Henry Ruggs, a Devontae Smith, a Irv Smith Jr. We can say that this is a wide receiver that has a very, very high floor. Okay, so let's go over to someone that doesn't have a high floor at all, but he has an elite ceiling. It's going to be a Ronaldale Moore. Okay, so here with Ronaldale Moore, coming out of Purdue at 21 years old, obviously you love to see that. And something that everybody and their mom has talked about, I'm sure if you go to your grandma right now and you go, hey grandma, do you know who Ronaldale Moore is? She's going to be like, oh yeah, the guy that's 5'7". I heard them talking about that on the radio. Because that's all anybody talks about with Ronaldale Moore is the fact that he's 5'7", 181 pounds. And I will say that, yes, if this was the NFL 10 years ago when you had guys like Brandon Marshall dominating, yeah, Ronaldale Moore would have been a 6th round NFL draft pick. They probably would have used him on special teams, and no coaching staff would have really given him a shot. But it's a completely different time. It's a completely different generation of the NFL coaching staff. We know that guys like Sean McVay coming in, guys like Kyle Shanahan, really being creative with how they use these wide receivers. And Ronaldale Moore, I mean, he's an elite athlete, but it's not just straight line speed. It's not like he's just a burner. I mean, he had a 97th percentile 40 time, just straight up elite. But what's more impressive is his vertical. I'm sure that everybody has also seen those pictures. He has elite burst to go along with this. I mean, people have seen him squatting 600 pounds when he's 18 years old as if he's Mason. I mean, so many things going on here with Ronaldale Moore. Now, I don't want to talk about 2019. I don't want to talk about 2020 just because they have been riddled with injuries. But what we can look at is we can look at 2018 where he was only 18 years old. Guys, keep in mind, Ronaldale Moore is 18 years old here. And he averages close to 9 receptions a game, averages over 110 total yards a game, and has 14 total touchdowns. Now, elite production at that age just simply doesn't happen like that. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous to see from Ronaldale Moore. And I know a lot of people want to say, hey, but Mason, it came on a lot of screen passes. It really was inorganic how he was seeing those targets. And yeah, I'm fine if you go, hey, Ronaldale Moore was seeing 3 to 4 of those targets a game just come from screens. Those were yards he was just picking up after the catch. But you're going to tell me all 9 of those receptions a game were just purely gimmick plays? That simply doesn't add up. That simply doesn't make sense. So here with Ronaldale Moore, I will say that you have to be worried about a couple things. You have to be worried that his frame is going to hold up for him to avoid these injuries, because that's the one thing you have to worry about with his size. It's not that can he win at the NFL level? Can he have that very high points per game? Because I believe that he can. I believe that an NFL coach is going to be able to use him creatively, but it's more so, is he going to be able to get hit by a linebacker more than 5 times a game, be able to get up and play a 16-game season? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Ronaldale Moore also going to get adequate NFL draft capital where you really don't need to worry about it. Right now, grinding the mocks has him projected to be the 47th overall pick off the board, so he's going to be a mid-second, maybe a late second-round pick, but he should get opportunity on the field. Now, if we had to go in and directly rank these players currently in our Dynasty rankings, how we have it going is Ronaldale Moore, Jalen Waddle, and Rashod Bateman. But Ronaldale Moore and Jalen Waddle are literally neck and neck. I mean, if you ask me one morning, hey Mason, who do you want, Jalen Waddle or Ronaldale Moore? I'll tell you Ronaldale Moore. Then maybe I have lunch and you ask me again at 2 p.m. and I'm telling you Jalen Waddle. So don't be surprised if you're over there on Patreon and you see me just nonstop every other day, quote unquote, updating the Dynasty rookie rankings, and it's just me moving Jalen Waddle and Ronaldale Moore back and forth. It's really going to come down to landing spot with these 2 wide receivers, because Ronaldale Moore is going to need that creative head coach to be able to really unlock him. Because if he goes to a team, just say like the New York Giants in the early second round, and he's playing with Jason Garrett, then no, we don't want anything to do with Ronaldale Moore because we don't trust them to be able to creatively use him and to be able to get him the ball. But say he decides to fall, he obviously doesn't decide to, but say the Cincinnati Bengals decide to draft him at the top of the second round and he goes to Zach Taylor, a coach that has been a little bit promising and he can scheme up some new things. He's not afraid to throw the ball 60 times a game. Then that's a spot where we go, you know what? We really like Ronaldale Moore here. So it's going to be dependent on landing spot for those 2 top wide receivers. And you can say the same thing about Rashod Bateman, but there's no day that I'm ever having right now that I'm ranking Rashod Bateman over one of these 2 wide receivers. So yeah, right now I'm going to have Waddle, Ronaldale Moore neck and neck for that top spot with Rashod Bateman clearly behind. At the time of making this video though, and I'm about to go update the rookie rankings, we are going to have Jalen Waddle one spot ahead of Ronalddale Moore. But I promise you, this can easily change tomorrow. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a better understanding of how these rookie prospects are looking in rookie drafts this year. Now, of course, if y'all enjoyed the video, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow.